Hello, my name is Tisha Emberton. I'm with Middle Tennessee Music, and with me is alternative rock band As Yourself from Middle Tennessee. To my right is Tony Grissom. He is the lead guitarist and also one of the co-founders of As Yourself. And with me is, to his right, is lead vocalist Jacob Roper and bass player Craig Hollis. And also we have a new drummer who is Ty Downing. How did As Yourself come about? How was it founded?
The original incarnation of As Yourself was founded in 2007, which was by me. At the time, I was a singer. I'd just gotten out of another group called Steady Fall, which had been around for years previous to that. And I wanted to branch off to something that was, more of my own music. Whenever I started that group, it was a lot different. I've evolved over the years, and basically this lineup now come together in 2013, and then an alteration was made in 2014 to where it is now. The group kind of came about because of something I originally started, but it got to the point to where, we decided to shift in our natural direction, not necessarily try to be something that we thought we should be.
Okay, and you actually used to be in a band with Jacob with the band Steady Fall.
Yes.
Okay, so As Yourself, you were the vocalist there for a while. Mm-hmm. And then over the summer, Jacob Roper, y'all joined forces again, mm-hmm. and y'all have a new album out that is self-titled. Tell us more about how that was co-written together.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, Tony had written a lot of the material as far as melodic goes. Tony and Craig, they both collaborated on most all of the music, and most of the lyrics were done by me. There was some improv in the studio as it was being written and recorded. We were in here for about 3 months, and just throwing out ideas here and there. So we were all kind of involved in everything in a way. Funny story, actually. The last song on the record, Storms and Rain, was originally a Steady Fall song. So I actually, that's one where I had a little bit of input on the melody and the music, but other than that, it's all these guys.
Okay, so tell us about the order of the album. You said Get a Life is actually the first track, and it was the first track that was also written. Tell us about how it was written.
Most of the time I start with, I'll be sitting here in this, we're in my studio right now, and I'll sit in here and I'll just kind of jam for a little bit. Whether it be practicing other songs or whatever, and you know how it is, you feel inspired, you start to kind of write new material. Well, Get a Life was the first riff that I'd really come up with for new material for this album. Sitting there, kind of starting the riff, I decided what tuning I wanted it to be in. And at the time I had Jacob in mind because I like his voice to sound a certain way, whether it be drop C or drop B, which is the two main tunings that we use. And I just kind of started thinking about what I could hear him sounding like on this record. Not necessarily the melody so much, but more the pitch of his voice. Because though I used to be the singer, I'm nothing. I'm absolutely nothing of a singer compared to this guy. So, imagining what it would sound like with his vocal on it was just even that much more inspiring, and kind of helped me form the rest of the song.
Okay, Jacob, tell us all about Rise of the Flatline. Tell us about what you were going through in the time that it was written as the lyrics kind of came to you.
Actually, when I wrote it, it really is based off of a position I was in my life a few years back when I was really bad off on some, abuse of substance, and there was a good 2-3 years of my life that I was out of music, and I would spend every day on the couch in the dark. I didn't have a job, and somehow I could afford alcohol. I have no idea how, but I got really sick after a few years of doing that every day, not missing a beat every day. And I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, and I wrote the song, a year or two after I got out, and I stopped the hard stuff, and it's really about getting up off the couch, because I couldn't. I mean, I would, but I knew when I got up I was going to start shaking, and I was going to hate the way I felt unless I was going to, be drinking. So it's basically about doing something about it, motivating yourself, getting up, and, rising above the struggles in your life and not letting them, succumb to the greatness that every person can have. So
That's very deep. It's very wise of you. So whenever you got into the studio with Tony, was that in Murfreesboro originally?
it started in Murfreesboro.
Okay, so you guys were just kind of in the studio and y'all were just fooling around, and I don't know, y'all just kind of started playing the song. How did that actually, what was the ultimate plug that made y'all want to join forces again?
I mean, I don't even think it's necessarily that we wanted to join forces again. It's just more, it felt like we'd never stopped. It felt like we were just on a long hiatus, because, the thing about Jacob and I, Craig, and if it were, Craig had never been in a band with me before, but if he were to leave now, it'd feel the same way as it did with Jacob and I, where it feels like we never stopped. It feels like we were supposed to be playing that whole time, and the original incarnation didn't include him, because of those reasons he had just talked about. And now that we are where we are, it feels like we just picked up where we left off, and we're a better version of ourselves. Because we're more mature, we make better decisions. We write better music because of the mistakes that we make through the years. And as we come together now and we start getting into the studio, it started in Murfreesboro where I lived at the time, and I had a studio there, and then we moved back here to McMinnville and started this studio. And we really finished the record here. Ultimately, we finished the entire record here, and it felt like we were supposed to do this years ago. So it's hard to say that we kind of came back into the picture together. It more or less just felt like we never stopped.
So tell us about your bass player down here on the end. He's so quiet. Tell us about how you met Craig down here.
We've known each other since I was like 10.
We've known each other for quite a while, honestly. Yeah. We've met through our moms being, working together just down here in Warren County. And then we kind of grew up going over to each other's houses and hanging out, and then we kind of went our separate ways for a while. And like Tony said, it kind of feels, now that we're back hanging out again and playing music, it just feels like it's supposed to be. It just feels right.
You know how it is when you get musicians together. It's just like, hey, let's play something. And you just naturally gravitate towards each other, especially the ones that you've known your entire life. And like I said, I mean, the way it applies with Jacob and I is like we stopped being friends years ago. We've the three of us, and Jacob and I specifically at the beginning of this, it feels like we've all been family for a really long time. Ty's the newest member in our group, but he feels like he's been here the whole time. I've always told them he's been our missing link this whole time, and of course it's no disrespect to anybody else. It's just, the way everything has fallen together. Like when we rehearse, it's spot on, it's perfect. It's like, I was talking to Ty about a week ago, and I told him, I was like, this feels like the band that we've all been chasing for years. Like, you have this idea of a band whenever you get into it, and when you're younger, you play in bands and you suck for a long time. You really do. I mean, you end up sucking for a really long time. And then when you're like, man, there's something missing here. It doesn't feel like that now. It feels like we're supposed to be.
So what's your ultimate goal with the band?
I'd say we all equally, our plan at the moment, or ultimate goal, you think?
Well, I know that you like to live in the moment and, kind of play it by ear as basically life throws its punches or its rise. But ultimately, what is your goal with the band?
Without trying to get too cliche, I'd say take over the world. But you know, but I mean honestly, that's why a lot of musicians get into this, is because we want to, you know, we want to be that band that, for me, that when younger kids look at us, you know, I have my inspirations. There's a list of them out there, and if I met those people now, and there's a few that I have, I mean, it's almost like you're standing in awe of that person, and not because necessarily who they are as a person, but just what they've done for you in the music community. And that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I feel like that each of us strive for greatness, and we give it 100%, you know, and actually probably more like 130%, you know. And, you know, ultimately we want to be on a national and worldwide level. That way people can look at us and see the way we've turned around our lives and, you know, the decisions that we currently make. And go ahead.
So who would you actually say has inspired you to this point you are now? Who would you say inspired you the most in your youth and compared to now?
It's hard to say. I mean, Silverchair was a big thing for Jacob and I, specifically Jacob and I, whenever we were younger. I mean, there wasn't a song on any of those albums that we didn't know. And we tried to cover them, and Daniel Johns was our hero, you know. And so I'd say him for sure. Now, if we're talking about different musicians, it could be anywhere from Michael Sweet to Billy Sheenan and, you know, a bunch of other artists, too many to name, you know. But, you know, there's several that I've met over the years. There's guys named Stephen Christian and Amber Lynn. That guy's just a great dude. He's a really nice guy. And, you know, it makes you want to look up to people like that, because not only are they what we consider rock stars, you know, and they really are. They do it full scale. And then when you meet them, they're just the coolest dudes ever, you know. There's a lot of girls out there that I really like, you know, and that they're super nice people, you know, and they're just down to earth. And it's not one of those, you know, how a lot of people say, don't ever meet your hero, because they'll shatter your expectations and you won't like them anymore. Well, in my case, I've been fortunate enough, and I know a lot of these guys have, where we've actually met those people we consider to be our heroes, and they're exactly what we picture them to be. And that's what we want to be for people also.